Russia engaging in more provocative behavior. Defense officials today confirming that a Russian fighter plane passed within 20 feet of a U.S. Navy reconnaissance plane over the Black Sea. Russian Su-27, it was armed with 6 air-to-air missiles under its wings as it buzzed the Navy P-8 Poseidon, which was in international airspace. Now, one official tells Fox News it's very rare for a Russian jet to intercept U.S. aircraft while visibly armed, making this incident, quote, highly provocative. And another incident yesterday, a Russian Su-24, it flew past into the South Korean air defense zone, prompting the South Korean military to scramble 2 of its fighter jets to the Sea of Japan. A Russian jet came within 70 miles of the USS Carl Vinson Strike Group, which arrived in the area last month. So the White House today also confirming its shortlist for FBI director, among them being considered former New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, former House Intel Chairman Mike Rogers, Congressman Trey Gowdy, Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn, and acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe. Senator Cornyn is among those being interviewed in this process tomorrow. Well, joining me now to discuss Russia's provocations, Trump's decision to fire Comey, the White House's efforts to replace the FBI director, former CIA operations officer, co-host of the Station Chief podcast, Scott Uehlinger. And where do you want to start with this, Scott? Let's start with Russia.
Sure.
That's an area you know, and the fact that they are doing these provocations means what?
Well, Russia has always conducted provocations against our forces, particularly in the Soviet time. However, they are increasing lately because Putin's increased confidence in dealing with the international community, which, you know, has not stood up to him for the past 8 years or so.
Yeah, but there's a new sheriff in town.
That's right. So
is this a test on Donald Trump?
It is a test, certainly. The Russians will continue to move forward until they feel resistance. So perhaps the Russians will feel that on the diplomatic front as we continue to point out Russia's actions and sanctions against them in places like the Ukraine and all, and also in Syria.
So the president's going to be meeting Vladimir Putin in a few months at the G20 meeting,
right,
I believe
exactly.
it is. And so is that a place where these kinds of things can settle down?
Certainly it will be. It will be. I think a personal meeting will do a lot to kind of diminish the current tensions that we have. And of course, I fear that a lot of our relations are also being adversely affected by this constant Russian collusion story that's baseless but is being circulated in the U.S. media constantly. We have some legitimate problems with Russia that we need to negotiate. However, it makes it more complicated for our diplomats to do their job if there's constant rhetoric being thrown about in the American press that really is baseless against Russia.
Well, there's 2 parts of it. There's the part about it was somebody on the Trump campaign in some sort of collusion. That's on that investigation. But there's the other part about the Russians interfering in our election, the DNC hack, and some of those sorts of things. I mean, I don't think the Russians, correct me if I'm wrong, are embarrassed about that.
No, the Russians are can often be blatant with these tactics. They were very blatant in the recent French elections, taking definitely the side of Marine Le Pen with financial support. It was pretty open. However, I believe that their success, if you want to call it that, in our election was primarily due to the fact that we don't have a very vibrant bipartisan press. And so it allows Russia to exploit some of the lack of bipartisanship in our media and basically carry forth with their mission.
There's got to be somebody in the Russian government who's getting bonuses right now because of the fact that all of this, they're getting more mileage out of this than they ever thought they were going to get about disrupting our democracy, just taking apart this country, taking the unification, if there is any, and trying to tear it apart.
That's right. We need to take a real serious look at what is at Russian interference in the election, and we also need to seriously investigate, for instance, some of the not too clean ties that have been shown to be between John Podesta and Russia, as well as Hillary Clinton and Russia. So a real investigation into this has not only got to continue what it's doing right now, but needs to increase the sphere of investigation by looking at things like Podesta's Russian assistance to John Podesta's businesses and all, which he never reported.
His brother received big fees for
exactly.
very little. So I think as well that's an area that I think may open up if they start digging around in there, they may
right.
find something that they may not want to find. But let me get the real quickly,
Please.
the rogues gallery of the FBI nominees, maybe, that we just showed a few minutes ago. Do you have any preference on any of them?
I think it would do well to perhaps appoint someone who is a professional attorney or a professional officer, perhaps a member of the FBI, rather than a political official, because certainly in this current climate, there's going to be a lot of pushback from the Democratic side on any politically backed, political candidate.
I agree with you. I know law enforcement likes to have somebody from their own ranks.
Right, exactly.
But there's also people saying maybe the leaks are coming from within the FBI, so maybe you need an outside professor.
Exactly.
I don't know what.
Right, exactly.
All right.